When I'm walking down the
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just...
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Morris?
Oh, my heart,
Happy 20th anniversary.
my heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Johnny.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's a
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Donnie, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it for all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Let's start this week off right, okay? Gracious Lord, make us truly thankful for another day. Thank you for our eyes, and our hands, and our ears, and our nose, and our sight, and our ability to feel and love and be loved. Thank you, Lord, for waking us up to a brand new day. Thank you, Lord, that we are in the land of the living in our right mind. Thank you, Lord, for keeping us through the night. And as we proceed through this brand new week that no one has ever seen before, Lord, we pray that we will honor you with our lives, with our work, with everything we do. May we forgive a little more. May we be a little kinder. May we be a little more considerate to our fellow man. And we promise, Lord, to keep on giving you all the praise and all of the glory. In your mighty, matchless, and majestic name, we say hallelujah and amen. All right, so I got to thank Wayne Frazier for this show. Me and Mr. Frazier have not always agreed on things, but one thing we agree on heavily is black business. So thank you, Mr. Wayne Frazier of the Maryland-Washington Minority Companies Association. One, thank you and Pat for having a wonderful minority business breakfast. And of course, we hate the term minority. We've traveled around the world. We know we ain't no minority to nobody. But in America, our numbers are about 15%. With that said, it is people like Mr. Frazier and people who have gone on, like here in the state of Maryland, here in the city of Baltimore, Arnold Jolivet, Raymond Haysbert, Robert Clay, who made sure that black people, who made sure that there were opportunities for us to have a seat at the table, the business table, like Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell, the 8A program, something you can stay in for 9 years and evolve your business typically into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. But nonetheless, today's guest is Captain Darwin Peguese, and he has a special guest with him. And listen, I won't say he's the only black tugboat captain in America, but he's the only one that I know. So without further ado, let's get on with the captain. Good morning, Captain. How you doing?
Good morning, Donnie. How are you today?
Good. Who's the young man with you?
This is my junior. This is Darwin Jr.
How you doing?
Hey,
Yes,
Darwin, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Darwin, Can you kill the daylight coming in the shade?
Yes. Yeah. Let me get the blind.
Yeah, kill the blind. Yes. Your lighting is fine. It's competing with that. Where are you? Where are you, Darwin?
I think yes. Oh, we're at the home, the business home.
Yeah.
There's a separate home for the business.
Is that Maryland?
Yes, sir.
Where were you born?
Okay, we're good.
Say it again, sir.
Where were you born?
I was born in Maryville, Indiana, but I grew up in Maryland for the most part of my life.
Indiana. I've been to Indiana. They big on basketball out there.
They are. Yeah, they are. Yep.
Yeah.
The fifth richest state, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're Republican.
Okay.
But you like Maryland. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Hammond High School. 4 years at Hammond High School.
What county is that?
Howard County.
Howard County. Okay.
Howard County. Yes, sir.
That's all right. And presumably you're in the tugboat business too?
I am. I'm actually getting time for my captain's license currently. Working on these jobs to get time for my captain's license so I can apply for it.
So you would be a tugboat captain a TBCK.
Yep.
I'm a UK, an Undertaker's kid, but yours is a little longer to say tugboat captain kid.
Yep.
And you're on your way to being a tugboat captain. To the Darwin Senior, are you the only black tugboat captain in America?
No, Donnie. There's been black men that have been tugboat captains here and there. Not common, but there's several that has been down in Louisiana. I think I know of one maybe up in New York, but very scarce. And the reason that you don't see black men, particularly black men or black women on these vessels is that, blacks don't have a starting point. And what I mean by that is that, typical tugboat companies just won't hire any guy off the street unless they know you. Okay.
Your answer prompts me to ask you this.
Sure.
Are there any women tugboat captains, and then more specifically black women tugboat captains? Because these sisters out here, they're shattering records. I mean, I look at Simone Biles. My God, she's in everything we touch. If you let us in, we're gonna dominate. So that's why they won't let you in, because you always want to dominate something.
Sure. Well, I'm in. It's just that they don't like the fact that I'm in. And, the other side don't like the fact that they taught me this business. They taught me how to operate tugboats. When I say they, I mean mostly white men, of course. And I had a good relationship with those men. And as it became more apparent as I moved through the industry, I wasn't really wanted. You follow what I'm saying? They made you feel that you weren't wanted. But, with fortitude and a little bit of luck on your side and continuing, you can manage it and make it happen. And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Donnie.
I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. And that was one of the reasons I'm really excited today because I've been able to accomplish something that I've been trying to accomplish for years and haven't been able to do it here in Baltimore. I've been able to obtain over $10 million in financing for new tugboats that I'm going to be bringing to Baltimore in hopes of being a big part of the building of the Key Bridge.
All right.
And along with that, Donnie, here's the best part. It provides the perfect platform for me to take at least a dozen young men and young women under my wing, put them on those boats, on that project, get them their captain's license, and away they go. This is how this thing's supposed to work.
Okay, so Darwin Jr., I got to put this to you. And if I get out of line, you just say, come on, OG, don't go there. But
understood.
I've been in business. I grew up in the family business. My daddy was a funeral director and mortician, and he left us in 2003. But I'm a journalist. So growing up in the business, I helped him and would help him if he was still here. But it wasn't my calling. But what I'm getting to is one thing we have learned in business. Us, black people. If you get that $5 million, you get that 100,000, you get that 75,000. Don't go buy a Cadillac. Don't go buy a brand new Cadillac.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Invest it back into your business.
That's right.
That's right.
Yep.
So I got to ask you, to the younger Darwin, have you had that challenge yet? Have you run into that situation?
I have.
I want to go get the Porsche, the Cabanera, the Panorama, and all of that.
I have run into that situation, but lucky enough, I have people around me that influence me enough to make the correct decision and use my money for something that will benefit me in the future, in the long run, instead of using it on something monetarily that will only affect me in the now. Because looking down 10 years from now, how far will that car get me, or that item that I really want get me? Not so much. But reinvesting it back into my future as well as other people's future that I'm involved with in my family will always make the better option, the better choice for those around me as well as myself.
That's what our dads want for us. The first big thing I bought was this house that I'm actually in now.
Yep.
It might not be much to some people, might not be much there in Howard County. I know that's the wealthiest county in the state. But to the homeless man that's walking by, this is a mansion. So I thank God for that. But I also thank God. Here's another one. One last one. I'm going to get back to you, Senior.
Yep, go ahead.
Darwin, is it okay to say Darwin Jr.?
Yes, sir. That's fine.
Okay. If you could leave your children $1 million or common sense, what would you leave them?
I'd probably leave them $1 million because at the end of the day, common sense runs pretty well on this side of the family. So I think they'll be okay for the most part. But
wise man's answer. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's something instilled in all of us from a young age for the most part when it comes to understanding of your social and your economical situation, especially in these days and times, will go a long way for somebody who's trying to make it in the world, especially people of our skin tone. So
you not only make your dad proud, you make your race proud, brother. Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Yes, absolutely. I have 5 sons, Donnie.
Really?
Yes, sir. He's the second oldest.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking back to our first conversation where you said wifey was like, that bring home that Skrilla, buddy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because Darwin Jr., as you know as well as I, being an entrepreneur and a family man, being an entrepreneur and a family man can be a tug of war.
Yes, it can.
Because that woman, she has to feel secure. And we as men, it's our job to make them feel secure. At the same time, I know your daddy might say, if God give you the vision, he'll give you the provision. And that's why I'm proud to know your dad, at least virtually, because he reminds me of my dad. And knowing that fortune favors the bold. You can sit back and wonder, I wonder what would have happened. Every time I talk to your dad, he's that go-getter, man.
Yep.
And we got to surround ourselves with people like the captain.
Yep.
Come on, tell me the story. 10 million, huh, Captain?
Absolutely. But we're excited about growing together, Donnie. Like I said, it's a family affair, man. And really, our hopes are to really get the word out to our communities, regarding this industry. Because there's not too many industries out here where, you can achieve generational wealth in a short period of time. And the maritime industry is just one of those industries. And unfortunately, we just haven't had a shot at it, and we've talked about this before, Donnie. I'm hoping, that our governor, continue to step up and move in that positive direction, and where, he's going to help deliver and to make sure that we do have these opportunities. That's critical now. And that's why I decided to invest into these vessels, because I want to invest into my community. And once it get rolling, then you'll see that. You'll see that system works and how it worked for them and how it can work for our communities too. So
we have to thank Wayne Frazier, because at a time when the Key Bridge was going down, and this is no disrespect or no slight to how people think. I remember when House Appropriations Chair here in the state of Maryland, Howard Pete Rawlins, when he had just died. The Black people, from what I saw, were scrambling. Who's going to be at the funeral? Who's going to speak at the funeral? That's where I think it was. Oh, we got to go pay homage. And that's important. But when I looked at the other community, they're looking at who's next. Who's got next? Who's going to take his spot? Who gets that power? Key Bridge happens. The Latinos, you know they're going to show up. They're ready to work. They see all of that. Whoa,
Absolutely.
trabaja. You know, I want to work. Quiero trabajo. I want to work. We got a black governor. We got Wayne Frazier. You got Donnie Glover. They always talking about black business. I'm going to raise the question, where the black people? Are we going to get some of that money? One more thing. BWI Airport, they had a $1.8 billion expansion. BWI Marshall. This was before it was BWI Thurgood Marshall. It was BWI, Baltimore Washington International. They have nearly a $2 billion expansion. The late Delegate Emmett Burns, God rest his soul. I asked him, I said, what about you're focused on the name change to BWI Thurgood Marshall? I said, but shouldn't we be focused on getting some of that $1.8 billion in expansion, some of those construction contracts? And he told me no, and I disagreed with him. He said it's the symbolism. I don't care about the symbolism. I want my people to get some of this business. So that's how we came about with this. And it is our prayer. And I'm going to work. I will send the governor this clip personally so that he knows about you, if he doesn't already. And I imagine he already does. He's a pretty smart guy.
He is. I have had the pleasure to meet him on a couple of different occasions. And I've also had the opportunity to briefly give him a little bit of flavor in terms of where I am and what I'm trying to accomplish. So I don't see any pushback there. I think, the door is wide open. And this is a great time for our communities, Donnie, because, when you think about the previous people that's been incarcerated, they have a tough time, getting out, getting it started, getting back in tune with, with life. This is where the maritime industry really helps, because here's an industry where someone can go from being incarcerated to being afforded an opportunity is going to start them at a minimum of $60,000 or $70,000 a year. It doesn't matter the fact they've been locked up. Most of the men that I've hired through the union are white men that have been incarcerated for years.
Say it ain't so. Say, Darwin,
Right?
Darwin Jr., do you know the numbers about black men in prison, right?
I do.
America represents 5% of the world's population, but America has 25% of the incarcerated persons in the world. This country incarcerates at a higher rate, such that we have as many people, if not more, than China, a country 5-6 times. They 1.5 billion people. We're only 400 million, less than a third of China. And 35% of the people in our prisons look like the three of us.
That is correct.
Sadly, I've had interviews on this show where I've asked the person on the other end, how many generations in one family have you seen in prison before? 3 grandfather, fathers, and grandson, all in the same penal institution. We've got to reverse that.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that, Darwin?
Well, as I mentioned, this is what I do for a living. And as I mentioned, throughout my entire 38 years in the marine industry, I always recognized there was a problem. It's just that I couldn't do anything about it. I had expected the number of men and women that have gone through these maritime academies. They get a free education. They go to school for 4 years, come out, they serve the military. I thought those were the folks that were somehow was going to figure out a way to turn this thing around and recognize the inequalities that's out here. The fact that black men can't get jobs on these type of well-paying jobs, and try to make a move, whether it's owning a business or what have you. But instead, we've had a situation where people that have been blessed to get those free educations have enriched themselves. Self-enrichment, which is nothing wrong with that, but you have to look out for your community at some point and make sure you can give back. And that's been sort of the separation, I think, between the maritime industry, the opportunity that has been afforded to blacks in the maritime industry, which is we give you a free 4-year education, But after that, we don't particularly want you in the business because we don't want you out there spreading the word about how fruitful things can be in the maritime industry. And I actually done it to make it go even further. I had a man that came from North Carolina, and I won't mention his name on here, but he came to me, drove to Maryland to explain to me that the maritime people in the maritime industry was afraid that I would be successful, and I would end up on Black Enterprise magazine.
You're on better than that. You're on Black
Right?
USA News and Be More News.
Right. Yes. You know, so he was basically telling me to back off.
I'm going to send this to Black Enterprise. We're going to send it to all our Black media outlets. Darwin Jr., when you, how old are you, Darwin Jr.?
I'm 25 years old.
Okay, my son's 28. How do we reach more in your generation? What can I do?
Exactly.
I think that starts with, once again, the community having an understanding of where not only our kids are at, but our parents are at in the space to be able to explain to those who haven't been afforded the opportunity, like me, to have a father who's in said industry. Making the attempt actually fruitful to have these kids understand that there's more ways outside of sports or entertainment, rapping, just anything related to social media. There are options out here that not only can help enrich your life, but those around you, to a point where you will no longer have to struggle in the same capacity as those in generations prior.
And listen to this, Donnie. In the maritime industry right now, and I went to they have a maritime school down in LaPorte, Texas, that the industry built. And the industry right now are predicting that they're about 24,000 personnel short to fully staff the marine industry for the next 10 years. 24,000. Do you know how many our brothers can get in those jobs? All they need is the opportunity to be able to go get the minimum qualification, go to the Coast Guard, get their papers, and they're set. 24,000. In an industry that traditionally operated off nepotism. So if you didn't have a family member, if you didn't born in the family, this is 20 years ago when I got in the industry, you couldn't get in the industry. And now it's gone full circle to where a great population of mariners have died off. They're gone. Their kids don't want to get in the industry, and it's left this huge void. And I've been yelling to our state and to our government officials saying, look, this is a fantastic opportunity for our people to get involved in this industry. It's not going to happen again. These are unique times we're in right now.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Captain Darwin Peguese Sr. and Jr. He, Sr., is one of the only Black tugboat captains in these United States, not just here in Maryland, but New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, the Carolinas, all the way down to Louisiana and beyond. And he wants to get more of our people involved in this industry. With him today is his son, who I'm extremely proud of. And I got to ask Darwin Jr., when you hear your dad say it's important to give back, do you buy that?
I do, because my dad has always been passionate about giving back to those in the community. Even growing up with me and my friends and stuff, he would always take the opportunity, the time out of his week or whatever it being, to be with us, to hang out with me and my friends, coach our basketball teams, or even introduce us to the maritime industry, which he did try to get a few of my friends into. Unfortunately, it never worked out the way it's supposed to. But at the end of the day, he made the attempt. He offered the chance to change their lives and their families' lives for the better. And I think that goes a long way when it comes to how we see and how Black men are represented in the media when it comes to being active in their communities. And he's been a role model for me and for a lot of other young Black men who unfortunately didn't have their fathers in their lives the way they were supposed to be. He stepped up. He was that leader in the community.
70% of our families today, no daddy in the household in the Black community. And there was a time where we were one of the most married communities in America, 1940s, 1950s. Then they started throwing all of this stuff at us. Mass incarceration, heroin, cocaine, crack,
liquor.
malt liquor, liquor stores on every corner. The preachers started flipping and acting crazy, and our community started crumbling apart. There was this movie called Claudine. It was about this black woman on welfare, and the social worker came around, and the black man, James Earl Jones, had to hide, had to jump out the window because they didn't want a black man to be in the house. But you have grown up with your daddy, and I grew up with my daddy, and because of that, you and I have we have more to do because a lot of our friends did not. I look back, so many of my friends did not grow up with their daddies, man.
Yep. It goes a long way for building the character of young men and women, having that father figure in your life in any capacity, even if it's not your biological father, having somebody there for you who understands the gripes that you may have as a young man, especially, can affect you in ways that you have no idea of until you're 20, 30 years down the line, looking back saying, man, he was really there for me. He really helped change and affect my future for the better.
Can you rap though, for real?
No, I don't rap. I don't rap, sir. I don't do that.
Can you play? Do you play a sport?
I used to. I played football and basketball.
When did you conclude?
End of high school. I just felt I had a bigger calling than be just sports. I felt like I can make a difference in my community in ways that you only read about in books. I just wanted to do something that I felt would have a much more resounding effect in the people around me and the people in my community and the people in my life.
I read this book when I was 15, Autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yep.
I read it in like 3 days. And this man said that entertainers are not our leaders. Your dad is one of our leaders.
That is correct.
I love my rap. I love some J. Cole, love some Kendrick Lamar, love some DMX and some Jay. And I love my athletes.
Yep.
But we need thinkers. And I'm not saying they're not thinkers. I'm saying off the break, straight out of the crib, we need leaders and thinkers. So if they ever do make it to the White House or to the State House, then they have a love for Black people that wherever they go, people will know. So Darwin Sr., how were you so successful in sharing and pouring into your son?
Hey, Doni, just living life, man, keeping it real, you know. Failures are failures and success is success. My son have seen me hit rock bottom before, and he's seen me at the top. It's been like a up and down thing, you know what I'm saying? But it haven't wavered our commitment to continue to move forward. In fact, in this industry that I'm in, if I had not failed, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So failure plays a big part in me sitting here today.
What do you mean?
Well, the lessons that you learn from failure are not pre-rehearsed. It's not part of a book. It's not something that's supposed to happen. You're in an industry where you take every day as it comes, and every day is different because the seas are different, the winds are different, all the elements that's going to make you successful at your job. They're going to come at you differently every day, and you have to be able to adjust to it. And that's really the mold of the industry. I've lost over $1 million, right? I've owed the Internal Revenue Service $300,000 or $400,000. This is all a part of the process along the way of teaching me my craft, what I need to do to move forward. Because I'd rather make those mistakes 20 years done than making now, right? I'm 59 years old. I don't have time to change courses in reverse and go back and start over and do something again. To me, that's a waste of resources.
Tell me about Mrs. Peguese.
Mrs. Peguese is a.
I want us to get in no trouble here.
No. Hey, I keep it real. She's a Midwestern, Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
Right. And I met my wife. Doni. You won't believe this one. I was working for Donald Trump. Donald Trump hired me as the first Black ship captain on the casino ships up in the Chicago area.
Get out of here.
Yes, sir. I worked for him for 5 years. Left that job, went to New York, worked at 9/11 for several months. We were towing the debris from Manhattan right after the Trade Center, taking it down to Staten Island, dumping it, coming back. I did that for several months. I left my family in Indiana, came to New York, did that for a while, stayed at YMCA, I think, behind Trump Towers in New York. And after that, I came back to Maryland, hoping I was going to become a river pilot here with the Maryland Bay Pilots. Those are the guys that guide the big ships in and out of the port. And I was unsuccessful in getting that job. And you could probably guess why. You know, there's been one black man in that organization since their existence. So I'm hoping to improve and get young folks involved. And there are great people over there with that Pilots Association, for example, but they just don't have the qualified candidates. So I'm going to work with them to try to help develop the right candidates for those jobs as well. But what I was saying is that, you know, because I had this skill set, after I wasn't selected to become a pilot, whether it was here or Galveston, Texas, or a number of the other places that I did apply for, it just shows that God has a plan for you, Donnie. Because with those jobs, normally when you turn 40, you can forget it. You probably won't get into the organization because you don't have enough time to put in. But what I did was I went to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in Baltimore. I gave them my skill sets and they looked at it. A week later, Donnie, I had a $4 million sole source contract. And that's when I realized I have something special here. This can make a difference.
What year was that?
People's lives.
What year was that?
Let's see.
06. 06.
Yeah, about 05, I guess.
06, yeah.
05, 2000. No, that was doing right after 9/11. So around 2002, I moved my family from Gary, from Indiana, to Columbia because I was familiar with the area. I have family that lives in Ellicott City and in Catonsville. So I was familiar with the area and I was familiar with the people. So I moved my family here and I said, what a great community to have a chance to raise my 5 sons. So we packed up and we moved here, and that was around 2002. And I've been back here ever since. And prior to that, Donnie, I traveled around the world, different countries, working for different shipping companies, North Africa, Singapore, Morocco, you know, just all over, just having a wonderful time working and traveling.
I got a question for you, because I'm a bit of a fan of the water. My granddaddy, I told you on my mama's side, he was from Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. And then in my second book, I'm working on the third. Y'all got to get that book out there. I Am Black Wall Street. I look at the history of how those first black people got to Oklahoma. They came out of Florida. And as I was researching Florida, I found out that there were black pirates. They only show us Johnny Depp, the Pirates of the Caribbean, but don't you be fooled. You best believe there were black pirates. Were there black pirates? Is a Pope Catholic? Of course there were. Down in Florida, his name was Black Caesar, worth $6 or $7 million. I ain't gonna tell him too much because I do want him to buy the book. But what I'm getting to is, have you ever seen any pirates?
I have not.
Thank God.
No pirates. No pirates.
The first country I went to in Ethiopia was the first country I went to in Africa was Ethiopia. And I know over there in East Africa, the Horn, they don't play.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Somalia.
Yeah, they got some bad guys over there.
Yeah, Somali
for sure.
Somali pirates.
Yeah. One of the ships that were hijacked over there was a ship that I have served on before. That used to run from different places carrying grain, like Jordan, North Africa, you know, in very dangerous areas of the world where you're always subject to being, you know, vandalized by pirates or hijacked, things of that sort.
I don't know how many of us are aware, but when you look at that Gaza Strip and Golan Heights,
yes,
right now, that thing over there ain't just about. That thing is about money. Yep. The Gaza Strip, the Palestinians, Israel, that thing about money, because there was a Suez Canal there. And the pirates took over the Suez Canal. They said, oh, y'all beating us on the land. We're going out here to the water. And they strapped.
Yep.
So now the ships got to go all the way around from the east of Africa to the south, all the way to the west. And that's time and that's money. And
it's
then
money. It's raising the costs.
This Key Bridge thing go down. So where does that leave you?
Well, what it leaves me right now, I wasn't a part of the cleanup efforts. I had a lot of folks call and say, hey, why aren't you out there? Why don't you have any work? Well, I understand that there's a lot of work out there and there's a lot of skills and stuff that does apply to what's going on. But in terms of my company, I don't have that massive type of equipment, so that was a situation where I had to kind of step back. But once they started construction of the actual bridge, now that's a whole different ballgame. That's where we expect to put our equipment to work. That's where we expect to be engaged in moving barges with material. We get engaged with shuffling crew to and from the job site, safety boats, things of that sort, all the things that we know that they're going to need there once they start the construction of phase 1 and 2. And I know the RFP is due this month. So I've never seen a proposal move this quickly. So they're expected to be started here sometime this fall by having it awarded. And we expect to be a part of that.
Is that true, Captain? If suppose the governor knew about you before this Key Bridge collapse,
and he did.
Could they have brought, huh?
Yes. Yeah, they could have. I mean, that's the right thing to do.
I mean, I'm the black governor, and I'm not slighting him. We want to enlighten him. But if he knew about you, and I imagine those first contracts were sole source also.
Yeah, through the Navy, through the U.S. Navy, I believe.
No bid contracts.
Right.
Because people were working immediately.
Yes.
I know there was something you could do with 40 years experience. My God.
Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely work out that I could do, Doni. And I did reach out to a couple of companies that I know that are out there now. And
I mean, calling the governor on his phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That's what I'm talking about. Picking up. Hey, Governor Westmore, my name's Captain Darwin Peguese Sr., and I'm probably the only black tugboat captain here in Maryland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you take some business that way?
They have some big goals on this job. I don't think they're large enough. I think they could have done a little bit more, but they underestimate the power and the ability of black-owned contractors. And sometimes I just feel like they just don't feel like we're real, but we are real. We have real expensive and real, situations that happen day in, day out. And, we just want to get a fair shot to participate. So, our doors are always open. And, like I said, had they called us, we certainly would have jumped that opportunity. But unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Darwin Jr., so your dad's a businessman. Your dad is a philanthropist. He wants to give back. Your dad is also an advocate. I mentioned some names earlier: Arnold Jolivet, Robert Lee Clay, Ray Haysbert, Wayne Frazier. We not only have to be good at what we do, but we got to be able to call the governor, the president, and anybody else with the ability to make those decisions and push them. Because if we are 30% of the state, my thought is we should be getting 30% of the business. But they're going to come back and say, oh, you're not qualified. Oh, you don't have this. Oh, you don't have that. When we see other people of other complexions, just walk right on in the door.
Yep.
They just walk right on in the door. They get the phone call, and then they call their cousin, and their cousin call their cousins. And next thing you know, you see all these people, and like your dad said, they got criminal records.
Yep.
And everything. But you, hold up, check his ID, check his background, check his run his rap sheet. See if he has a criminal background. Looking for anything to disqualify you. So my question to you, Darwin Jr., how's it going to feel when you're the only black man in the room, only black person in the room at the business table?
I got to take it in stride. That's the only thing I can do. Keep my head high.
But let me just interject on that a little bit, Don, if you don't mind. Is that one thing that I tell him, and I tell any black man that has any interest in being in this industry? Number one, you got to have some thick skin. Number two, you have to really understand that you're working with a class of people that are from the right or the far right. That's just the way it's nothing you're going to do to change that. Okay. And there may be times, and there will be times where things are going to be said inappropriate. You have to be able to digest that and be able to deal with that appropriately, and not in a manner where you have to get hostile about it. And I've seen that.
Let's go to that situation. The time you're sitting at the table.
Yep.
And these were far right white people.
Oh yeah.
And the white man used the N-word in your presence. And tell us how you dealt with that. And why my initial thought to swing on him and bang him in his mouth, why that wasn't the route you chose. You chose a wiser, more profitable approach. Tell them what you did.
Sure. Well, I can let me give you this one. What happened here?
I think it's good.
Okay, put it back away.
You're good. I just want you to get. I want them to see.
Got you. Well, I can actually give you a real situation, Donnie. I'm the captain of a vessel in the Houston area, Houston, Texas. This is just in the mid '80s. We're sitting down eating our dinner, and one of my captains, an older man, probably about 70, been in the marine industry for many years. I knew he and his brother very well. And Jerry Springer show was on television. And we sitting there, and this show was, of course, about a black man who had impregnated a white woman. Well, this man, we call him Pops, he goes into a rage and says, I don't like no nigger being with no white girl. I mean, he just went on and on and on. And I sat there, I put my fork down. I said, Pops, I said, I don't understand why you're carrying on like this today. I said, we've had this conversation before. And I said, by the way, I spoke to your brother, Jesse, and he explained to me how much you love your grandboys, 3 of them, biracial. I said, you talk to your grandkids like that? Do you use that language in front of them? Donnie, he became my best friend. The next week, I was at his double wide trailer having dinner with he and his wife. And that's how I broke that with him. And I broke it with a lot of them. But those are the type of situations that you have to encounter and be able to deal with. I've had my employees that tell me to go to hell over the phone at night when I'm calling my tugboat, 3 in the morning. I don't have to answer to you. Oh, really? Well, I sign your checks. Well, I'm not going to answer you. Well, okay, I'll be out there in about 3 hours. I'll be out in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay in 3 hours. We'll see what's going to happen. So then there's a situation where I got to go out there and I got to use a little bit of brute force and say, hey, I want you off my boat. You can't talk to me like that. I sign your checks. But it's no surprise to me. I've been dealing with that my entire life. So I've learned how to tolerate it to a point and deal with it and yet get my point across. And I've been successful. Most of my primary men, my go-to men right now, are from Eastern North Carolina, very rural area, very racist area. But they've been working for me for years because I have a good understanding with them.
You don't
have to like me or the color I am, but you're going to respect me, and we're going to make this money together, and we're going to stay safe. And this is how we're going to do it. They'll buy into that.
Wow.
And that's how I deal with that.
Darwin Jr., I'm from Baltimore. They fighting words.
Yep.
But your dad has shown me there's more than one way to skin a cat. What do you think of racism, Darwin Jr.?
I think it's a very nuanced situation in today's climate for the United States, especially. There's a lot of usage of the word race when it comes to how we see it and how it affects us as people. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do to affect another person and get them to stop being the way they are. as my dad said, you have to understand how to navigate certain climates and certain areas to be successful, because you can't help your people while also being unable to support your people, if that makes sense. So I think the way you have to handle certain groups of people in this country, you have to accept the reality that they have the power, they have the wealth, they have the ability to affect the country in ways in which you can't, especially as a Black person in America. So understanding how that works will go a long way in benefiting you and the community to do better for those in the future.
All right, I'm gonna test your wisdom here. Are we victims or are we victors?
Both. Because we were the victims of the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade. We were the victims of systematic oppression, be it.
Well, are you talking about? You talking about you, or are you talking about our ancestors?
I think we're talking about both. We can talk about both, because at the same time, our ancestors struggled in ways that we cannot fathom, as well as we struggle in ways our ancestors would never fathom. The systematic destruction of the Black household, like we were talking about earlier. But at the same time, we've also made great strides in this country to make it easier for people of my complexion and my age group, as well as my father's legacy, and to make it into where this country has the ability to truly affect change, not just here in the US, but worldwide for people of our skin complexion. So once again, it's just your viewpoint.
See, that's a question I have for you. Have you met Black tugboat captains from other countries?
I have not.
What?
No.
Man, the world is what, 3/4 water?
Sure. Yeah.
Man, we got to get this program in French and Spanish.
well, you know what, Doni? Odd enough, you know, countries like Africa, and we use South Africa, for example, I do get material magazine, professional magazines. And over there, yes, they do have professional mariners. They do have professional dredge and miners and stuff. You know, I just saw yesterday where there's a Black-owned mining company over in Africa. So Africa's doing things over there that have never been done in this country. And, you know, the fact that, you know, I get into this business, Doni, and realize I start Googling Black tugboat companies, Black dredging companies, the internet came up blank. There are none. There was none. There was no history. There was no playbook. There was no one for me to go back to say, hey, can you explain this to me? Can you help me avoid these pitfalls that I know I'm going to hit? I had to take every mind in stride, Doni. I lost some limbs.
Darwin Jr., you get ready to write your daddy's book, man. I don't know if you knew what you were signing up for today, but if I got 2 books with a 3rd one on the way, I'm waiting on you. Don't wait. I'll be 59 in a few days. But
we're the same age. Yep. We're the same age.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Darwin Jr., I'm giving you a little nudge there, and it's not that complicated. I'll share my recipe for it. But we need your daddy. We need your family story.
Yeah.
You have national history right there beside you.
Yep.
Yeah. And I tell them, I'm
proud of you too, man.
I was raised by my grandmother in a rural part of North Carolina, and she was a cotton picker. She picked cotton her whole life. She could show you the cuts on her fingertips from the bleeding over the years, where they turn into calluses. So that's the type of woman I was raised by, where, Doni, I couldn't sleep after the sun came up. It's time to go to work. And it was that way every day. I tell my son how my friends would come in the yard and walk around or ride their bicycles around me working and things of that sort. And, and I couldn't go play until I finished my chores. And that was the way it was. And I also tell them a lot of those guys who didn't have any type of boundaries or no type of direction was in the dead or alcoholics when I go down there at the corner store.
Man, you make me think of Gil
You
Scott
know?
Heard. Grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. You don't know nothing about that,
Mhm.
do you?
I've heard it. Oh
Grandma's
yeah,
hands.
absolutely. You know, down there had the revivals, man, in church all day long. So, you know, I spent a lot of time in the good Lord's house growing up, and those values of my grandmother was instilled in me even to
But
this day.
you learned something somewhere else beyond what grandma taught you. I mean,
Military,
ah,
the Navy, and Donnie, let me tell you about my Navy. My Navy stint was great. I had the best time of my life. Traveled the world and all. And at the end of the day, I was told by the commanding officer of my ship that I shouldn't re-enlist. They said, Peguese, you need to go out in the world and you need to do what you can do. He said, I don't think this man Navy is quite where you want to be because you tend to do things on your own the way you want to do it. And I took their advice. You know, I got out.
Is that a German Shepherd?
Yeah.
I'll handle it.
Yeah, we need to put her away. Give me a second, Danny. We're going to put her away.
That is a Shepherd?
Yes, it is.
Man, I love Shepherds. I got one right here, Wise Men.
Okay. Yeah. Mine is 7 years old.
Yeah, we got a 15-year-old over here.
15?
15, yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Good.
Yes,
Good.
Sir. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm proud of you and your sons and your family because you're speaking life over us. So for all of the Black elected officials and all of the elected officials around America who may see this video, what is it you want them to know?
Well, what I want them to know is that people that look like me is capable and ready to be able to put ourselves in position to help our communities, number one. Number two, it's important that that people know that this industry doesn't require, folks with college degrees. These are jobs for everyday people. These are opportunities that really fit in line with people that's been previously incarcerated. And not only do I look at the opportunities I can provide, I look at the other resources I have through the unions and the labor unions that are just begging for someone with common sense to come to the table and to be able to help put together sort of a plan that will at least address those individuals that have been incarcerated. Because for them, they get out, they have kids they can't take care of, they have kids they want to take care of. And I'm sure most of the men that are incarcerated never wanted to be there. And I'm sure most of them are good people.
How do we want people to get in touch with you? Because there are a bunch of people who want to reach you.
Yes. Well, I just put my number out there. Give me 1 second, Don. I'm going to put a number out here where I can be reached. And you can leave a message there because I am going to start accumulating individuals' names that are interested in working in the maritime industry. I'm going to start a list there to put together a training program. And as I mentioned, this bridge work is going to start sooner than later. And if I can get me a dozen young men that really want to accelerate and want to learn a trade that's going to take care of them for the rest of their life, I'm their guy. If there's someone that can listen and follow directions, they're my guy. So we're going to be kicking this out. We're going to reach out to Mayor Scott's office, and hopefully we can get some type of resources to start a training program as quickly as we can. We know there's enough vacancies in Baltimore, for these young men and young women. And I don't want to limit it to just men. I'm saying young women as well. They need to get out there and get to it, learn the trade.
Man, I watched some Latinos over the past 2 months across the street from me here on Carlton Avenue rebuild the house. And they had women workers. And Darwin Jr., let me tell you, them women work as hard as the men.
Yep.
I've never seen women work so hard in my life with my own eyes. I'm like, they picking up rocks, they backing up trucks, they moving trailers, they carrying heaps of trash.
Mm-hmm.
Don't underestimate the power of a woman. All right, Captain, we got a phone number?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get that second
okay.
number here. DJ from that second phone. Should we? Give me 1 second, Donnie. I'm not as handy with these phones, man. I'm really outgunned here with this iPhone 15 or whatever they got me.
You in the game, though, buddy.
Yeah. Give me that number.
Okay. I have the number ready for you when you're ready.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's 410 852
852
0579.
May this phone number blow up and become world famous, sir.
Right. And the website too. The site's down for right now, but it should be up here by the next couple of days.
Yep. That site is
www.blackjack.
Black, and then it's dash jack.
No.
I found a cat on Fiverr that fixed my website overnight. I've been dealing with some people here in the States. Darwin Jr. Went on Fiverr overnight. Sometimes people be playing with your website, telling you they know this, know that, and they be wasting your doggone time. I don't play that. I can't. This is my business.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And for pennies on a dollar, because you know here in the U.S. people want to stick you up quick.
Oh yeah,
that is correct.
I get work done over. Oh, I got it. Okay, I got you.
And the reason we have to reach out to the city, Donnie, is that when we get these boats up here, we need a place to park the boats. And right now, the folks own all of Baltimore. And that harbor area is owned by not anybody that look like us. So that's going to be one
surprised.
of the. Yeah,
that's why. So Darwin Jr. That's why I do media. I didn't become a film director like my dad, but he actually, when I was younger, introduced me to Carl T. Rowan, famous black journalist, Paul Harvey, famous white guy with a radio show. My dad introduced me to WEAA, which is now, I think, 47 years old, Morgan State University's radio station, the Afro newspaper, which I not only sold, that's the black newspaper. I not only sold it, but I eventually became a lead writer. And so once I started writing front page stories for the Afro, I said, shucks. Actually, once some people started paying me to put stuff in the paper, I said, shucks, I could do this for a living doing what I love to do and make money too. I like making money. Ain't never sold no heroin or cocaine in my life. Thank you, Lord. We don't have to.
Yep,
that's
my
right.
finger roll wasn't that good. I'm only 5'9", so I wasn't all of that outstanding on the football field. Love baseball, but I knew I wasn't going pro. But I knew God gifted me with something here.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I do black media, because I want to make sure stories like this get told. If your dad called me tonight and said he needed to come back on tomorrow, then we just gonna have to make it work. If he said to me, Darwin wants his own show, I'm gonna make it work. That's what my joy and that's my contribution. So Darwin, what's your message to your generation?
Which Darwin?
Which one?
Oh, to the junior. I'm gonna give you the screen to speak your.
My message is be plain and simple. Follow your dream and do what you love, but at the same time, understand the reality that we're in an unprecedented climate for Black and brown people in the United States. You have to have an understanding of how you're going to affect not only your image, but the image of your people. Just make sure you're doing, you're doing what's right. I know it's tough sometimes to do what's right, but at the end of the day, making that choice to choose the right thing instead of the wrong thing that may benefit you slightly more will go a long way for not only your conscience, but for you as a person and for the character that you hold yourself to as a human being.
I'd also like to ask you this question, Darwin Jr. How does it feel to be on this mission where you're going to be the only Black person in the room? What's your advice to the rest of us?
It's not something we're not used to. I'll say that. We're the most resilient people. We're the strongest people. And we have to make sure we keep that image up and keep the legacy of what our forefathers have done for us, striving and going for those in the future generations. Just make sure that you, like I said, doing the right thing is the hardest thing in the world to do, especially when everybody in the room's calling you crazy. But when you do it, it's a sense of joy that you never feel in any other capacity. You feel at peace.
I was in East Baltimore as a kid. My dad, we lived above the funeral home, man. Them kids over in East Baltimore used to tease me, man. Yep. But I had a friend over there, still got him, Black Stevie. Me and Black Stevie used to lock him in the morgue. They wouldn't mess with me no more. But my dad, I came to realize he had an important job. He had been serving families for generations. And it was important to him to continue that legacy of serving our people, of helping empower our people, of not running away from our people, but running to our people. So I'm so proud of you. And you make all of my friends over here proud. I'm looking at their comments. We're so impressed with you, your dad, your mom, your brothers, and the fact that you give a rat's bottom to give back. You know how many of us, man, we get to Howard County, ain't no looking back now. I done seen some part of Howard County. It's a little rough. I was in one part of Howard County. I was like, whoa, this looked like up the way.
Yep. Yeah. Giving back is a blessing unlike any other. Being in a position to be able to give back to those who are less fortunate is one of the greatest joys you can have as a person, because it brings you full circle. It brings you whole. So, yeah.
Well,
and Donnie, one thing I've stressed it to my sons all their life is that, whenever you embark on something, don't quit when it get tough, because when you start over, you're just starting your learning curve in life back over again. So every time you start and quit anything, you're wasting time, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Because when I got into the maritime industry, I stuck with it. And I stuck with it because I knew in order to be the very best in what I do, I got to spend time in that industry. And because it get tough sometimes doesn't mean I need to pack it up and go figure out something else to do. Life just doesn't work like that. And, and I've taught, my kids that and have hope that they haven't taken that notion and want to quit and start over, because when things get tough, it's time to run away.
And Darwin Jr., if you let that special person into your life, you gotta make sure they ain't just there for the Skrilla. They ain't just
Absolutely.
there for the Lucci, that they really got your back.
Absolutely.
Anybody can be there for the loot.
You gotta go check on those dogs, man.
Okay.
Using their mind.
All right, well, we'll wrap this up and use your advantage to the advantage of the disadvantage. Live by that. Use your advantage to the advantage of the disadvantage. That's the give back. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining us. I'm proud of you, bro. Keep inspiring. You got my number. I'm here 24/7. And Captain, why don't you go and give the final word in case the governor or president, I'm actually headed to the White House today. Patty LaBelle's over there. But in case I should say, what you want me to tell President Biden or Vice President Harris?
Please tell Vice President Harris, President Biden, and all the decision makers on Capitol Hill that, Black folks want to be there for them, but you got to give us something to vote for. And I've been, I don't want to say struggling in the business. I've been learning the business for some years, but the mere fact that I'm the only one and there's no one but my family standing in line to be able to take advantage of the many opportunities that are out there for our community, I think is a shame. But I would just ask the president and the vice president to pay more attention, especially to us Black men and what we got going on, because our situation is different, regardless of what they say and regardless of what the SBA and all these other agencies may say. It's a whole different ball game for us out there.
Either one of you want to
I can't disguise my color. I'm sorry.
Either one of you want to handle this question? Is from a leader here in Sandtown. How do you handle when our own race is intentionally treating black folks? It's one thing when people who don't look like us treating us ill. When this show comes on, there's a piece by Dr. Zolikoff, the black physician, and he says that we don't like poor black people.
Well, Donnie, I'll be totally honest with you. Most of the negative encounters that I've had, most of them have been encountered by other blacks.
Yep.
Trying to take advantage of me.
Get a leg up.
You know, I've had situations where they come to me and said, hey, unless you give me a part of your company, you won't get no contracts here. People in high level places. What goes on? This is real. This is real. I've been victimized more by black folks than I have white folks.
You got a Trump-loving white guy that's going to send you business, but you have a black person who some way, somehow has experienced the same institutional racism, possibly even transatlantic slave trade trauma as most of the rest of us, and our own. It's giving you more problems.
It's giving me more problems.
Than this white boy in a flannel shirt.
Absolutely. I can do business with the white boy in the flannel shirt. The situation that I had is been where a black man would all of a sudden come to the conclusion that he can't claim racism against me because I'm black too.
But you persevered anyway.
I walked away from those deals.
Yep.
I walked away from those deals. They hurt. You got a large family to feed and you got to deal with this crap out here.
You think I haven't dealt with it with this news website? I got Republicans that would spend money with me quicker than black Democrats in a 9-to-1 Democratic city and a 2-to-1 Democratic state.
Yep, absolutely. And I feel the exact same way, Donnie. I feel the same way. I try not to feel that way because I don't want to believe that that's the situation, but you know.
It's called pedagogy of the oppressed. People have been beat up and dogged so many times that once they finally get in the position, they end up acting like the same one who oppressed them. They become that which they despise.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
absolutely true.
And it's not just in black people.
No, it's not.
In all people.
You down there in Howard County, you got a lot of Koreans down there. People, we make assumptions about the Korean community. All of those merchants that make money in Baltimore, they live out in Howard County. But I've seen how they do their own. You be that new Korean that come across that water. See how long you be down there in that corner store on Pennsylvania Avenue in the bottom of the bottom where nobody want to go, where they pop caps all day long.
Oh yeah.
White people the same way. Rich white people don't like poor white people.
No.
But poor white people will support Trump even though they're voting against their own interests.
Yes.
That's how insidious racism is.
Oh yeah. And actually, I live in Catonsville off Winners Lane. I used to live in Columbia, but I had a situation where there was a Korean man that owned a dredging company. It goes out and mines sand, and he got into this business, had all the money in the world, bought brand new equipment and all, only what I had dreamed of. He went into business and quickly went out of business because he failed at the job. And I went to him and said, Mr. I ain't gonna call his name. I said, but I can help you. I can help you salvage your business. I can help you save this contract with the core engineer that's you failing on. I can help you with all this. Just work with me. We work together. He said, I don't think that's going to ever happen. He'd rather fail and have lost his business than allow me to come in and help salvage the business and help him with something I've been doing for 38 years. He chose to fold it up.
You know what my mother would say to him?
What's that?
She'd be 95 if she were here today. She'd walk past him and say real quietly, dummy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
you're going to die.
I get it.
And the thing is, if they knew their history, everybody traces their roots back to the San Bushman, Namibia, Southern Africa, who got the oldest DNA on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You hate your daddy, son. You are sick. That's sick. Yes. But even more so, We all got the same blood. The same God made us, and none of us get to choose how we're born.
Right. There you go.
I thank God I was born black, though.
As do I.
You know how much money I save on tanning salons?
Quite a bit, I'm sure.
I love you both. I'm proud to meet you, Darwin Jr. And let's stay connected, okay?
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for what you do, Donnie. We appreciate it, man. Without you, brother, I don't know how we would be able to get our word out there, at least get folks thinking about what we're talking about in terms of opportunity. Because remember, the earth is covered with how much water?
75%.
75% water. That's 75% opportunities out there, because there's work out there that folks need to explore more on the water side and not run from that, but embrace it.
Good deal. Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.
Thank you.